and Francine giving me the signal. Good morning, everybody. My name is Sterling Higa, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd now like to call to order the March 5th, 2025 at-large Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The time is now 10:01 a.m.
In accordance with section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's at-large board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the historic American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. The HCDA communications staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clear audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name, pseudonym, or other identifier name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and you are attending virtually, please indicate so by clicking the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. If you are attending in person, you will be called to the front of the room in the order that you signed up. All testimony will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. Before you begin the testimony, we ask that you identify yourself and spell your name for the record. When 1 minute is remaining, 1 minute remains will be called out, and when 30 seconds is remaining, 30 seconds remain will be called out. When time has elapsed, time will be called out, after which you have 30 seconds to conclude your testimony, and then your audio will be turned off. If you're attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testifier. Please keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. If the authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan Tam. HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you are present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect that the following members are present. Vice Chair Ishii.
Here.
Thank you. Secretary Lidstone.
Ew.
Thank you. Member Miranda Johnson.
Yeah.
Thank you. Member Anderson is excused. Member Evans.
Here, present and alone.
Thank you, Member Evans. Member Strikes.
Here.
Thank you. Member Yamashita.
Here.
Thank you. Member Suji.
Here.
Thank you. Member China.
Here.
Thank you. Member Sakota.
Here.
Thank you. Member Gordner.
Here.
Thank you. Member Leong.
Here.
Thank you. Member Life is excused. Member Kabibi.
Here.
Thank you. Member Yamasaki.
Here.
Thank you. Looks like we have 14 present and quorum. Members, I do know a few of you may be tangentially involved in the finance hearing briefing. I want to let you know that quorum is 9 for this meeting. So if a couple of you do need to jump off at any point in the meeting, that should be fine and will not interfere with decision making. For today's meeting, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Moving to agenda item number 2, the approval of minutes. These are the regular meeting minutes of February 5th, 2025. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Let's move now to agenda item number 3. This is decision making. Consider establishing pursuant to section 92-2.5 B1 Hawaii Revised Statutes a permitted interaction group for the purpose of 1, conducting the executive director's annual performance review, and 2, establishing the executive director's new 1, 3, and 5-year goals, and accordingly amend the agency's strategic plan adopted by the authority at the June 5th, 2024 General Authority meeting. Mr. Ryan Tam, Director of Planning and Development, will now present the staff report.
Good morning, Chair Higa and members. The staff report is in your packets. Again, I'll just briefly summarize. Again, in May of 2022, the authority did hire Craig Nakamoto to fill the position of Executive Director. The reviews in November 2022, September 2023, and June 2024, the authority accepted finding and reviews of permitted interaction groups that developed the strategic vision plans, financial management plans, and as well as the agency and executive director's goals and 1, 3, and 5-year plans. The authority's employment agreement with the executive director requires the authority to conduct an annual performance evaluation based on the performance goals and objectives for the executive director established by the authority. The executive director Nakamoto has kind of outlined should the board form this permitted interaction group, just a potential conceptual timeline could include big meetings in the March to May timeframe. The executive director and the agency would establish kind of the 1, 3, and 5-year goals and plans. Potentially, a second required open meeting of the permitted interaction group could be reported back to the PIG, back to the general authority in the May meeting. And then either at the June or July general authority board meetings, the board could consider adopting the recommendations of the PIG and dissolving the PIG. Executive Director Nakamoto also just wanted to note that although the board may include less than 9 members on the PIG, he is suggesting potentially that there may be 1 member from each board plus the chair. And subject to your questions, that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. Members, any comments or questions? Okay, so I share the recommendation that there be at least 1 member from each of the sub-boards, Kaka'ako, Kalailoa, He'ia, and Pulehunui. I volunteer to serve. And are there any other board members willing to serve in the permitted interaction group?
Chair Higa, this is Glenn
Sakota.
Yamasaki. I can also volunteer for the Pulehunui board.
Okay. Thank you, Member Yamasaki. Appreciate you volunteering. There was someone else cross-talking. Who is that?
Kevin Sakota.
Member Sakota, thank you. I have noted you down. Anyone else wishing to serve in the PIG? Perhaps somebody from the
I'll go ahead and serve for He'ia.
Member Leong, thank you. Strong representation from He'ia. Anyone from the Kalailoa board wishing to serve?
Chair, point of information.
Yes.
Am I the only, the other seat is,
My understanding is
vacant.
My
so
understanding
I would
is
be the
you are-
only representative.
You are the yes.
Okay, very well. I volunteer to serve.
Okay, thank you, Member Gordner. So that does bring us to representation from all 4 boards. Of course, if more members want to serve on the PIG, it is a good way to sort of get a feel for the strategic direction of the agency.
Is someone from Pulehunui on?
Yep, Member Yamasaki.
Oh, okay.
Any other members wishing to serve on the PIG? Okay, great. That was very fast. Do we have any persons pre-signed up for testimony? Do we have any people wishing to testify on this matter on Zoom? Do we have any persons in person wishing to testify on this matter? Seeing no testimony, we will close public testimony and we will move to a motion. So I'm asking, is there a motion for the, or sorry, before we go to motion, members, any comments or questions? Okay, members, is there a motion for the board to establish pursuant to section 92-2.5 B1 Hawaii Revised Statutes, a permitted interaction group consisting of member Yamasaki, member Sakota, member Leong, member Gordner, and member Higa for the purpose of conducting the executive director's annual performance review and establishing the executive director's new 1, 3, and 5-year goals, and accordingly amend the agency's strategic plan adopted by the authority at the June 5th, 2024 General Authority meeting. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
Moved by member Kabibi, thank you. And do I hear a second?
I
Second,
second. That's all right, whatever.
I'll take it from member Leong, thank you. Members, is there any further discussion on the motion made by member Kabibi and seconded by member Leong? Seeing none, we'll ask Ryan to take the roll call vote with 9 needed to approve.
Member Kabibi,
Aye.
member Leong,
Aye.
member Higa,
Yes.
sorry, Chair Higa, Vice Chair Ishii,
Yes.
Secretary Lindstone,
Aye.
member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
member Anderson excuse, member Evans,
aye.
member Streitz,
Aye.
member Yamashita,
Aye.
member Suji,
Yes.
member Chino,
Yes.
member Sakota,
Yes.
member Gordner,
Yes.
member Light
Is excused.
is excused, and member Yamasaki.
Yes.
The motion passes with 14 yes votes, no votes, 2 excused, and 0 abstained.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, members, for volunteering to serve on the PIG. Moving now to agenda item number 3 for information and discussion. An update by the HCDA staff on budget and bills of interest to the HCDA, including but not limited to the measures listed in the agenda. Ms. Francine Murray, Community Outreach Officer, will now present the update.
Good morning, members of the board and community members. I'm Francine Murray, the Community Outreach Officer for Hawaii Community Development Authority. Our legislative updates today, March 5th. It's about midway through session and tomorrow is crossover. And bills that have had 3 hearings are crossing over to the next chamber tomorrow. The budget crossover is next week, Wednesday, March 12th. And that's when all of the bills with funding attached will cross over to the next chamber to be heard. Our state budget is HB Bill 300. And Executive Director is currently at that legislative hearing, supporting our state budget request for the next 2 years. In summary, it requests $4 million for our operating expenses, which is consistent with the past. It also requests CIP funding for phase 2 of many of our existing projects, which is infrastructure for UH, infrastructure for Iwale Kapalama, and the 99-year lease program. Secondly, our administrative bill, HB 1007, is advancing and will cross over this week. HB 534, which is the HCDA bill that would develop residential housing in Kakahumakai was deferred by the judiciary and the WAM committees, and so it will not advance this session. We also have our following HB 818, which would essentially establish a YKL Community Development District under HCDA. That's also advancing, but it was amended and we will no longer transfer the lands from LNR to HCDA, but otherwise the bill is advancing. We're also following a few historic preservation and permitting bills. Those bills intend to expedite the process, and we've been very fortunate that Director Tam and his staff, Charlene Okawong, have been drafting testimony to help to expedite these processes. So those bills are also advancing. We're also tracking GMs. Those are the governor's messages. We have 3 with hearings this Friday for our board members, Gardner, Kabibi, and Lindstone. So that hearing is Friday at 1 p.m. With the Water and Land Committee. So we've submitted some testimony in support of that, and we're very thankful for all of our members that volunteer to serve on our board. Are there any questions?
I have one comment about my message, just to note, so this is correct, it was revised under 640. The original is 558, and that is the one they have chosen to schedule the hearing under. So I just want to make sure people are interested in submitting testimony or following along or whatever, that they know it's not under 640, it's under 558. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gardner. Members, any other comments or questions on the legislative update? And just in case anyone wants to follow along at home, you can find all of this information on the HCDA website under the agendas tab for the March 5th, 2025 general meeting agenda. So there's a link to all of these measures. Thank you, Francine. Seeing no comments or questions from board members, I'll move to public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up for testimony on this matter? Do we have any persons present online wishing to testify? Seeing none. Anyone in person wishing to testify? Seeing none, we will move now to the report of the executive director. This is the monthly report and other status reports, including the monthly financial highlights for January 2025. Mr. Ryan Tam will now provide the report on behalf of the executive director.
Chair Higa, board members, the financial report is in your packet of the meeting materials. The net change in the special fund balance for January 2025 was $549,136. This special fund balance availability as of January 31st, 2025 was total of $52,046,778. And there's no significant activity to report for January 2025. Also attached to the monthly financial report for January 2025. Subject to your questions, you can take any questions that you have and get back to you.
Great. Members, any comments or questions on the executive director's report? Seeing none, we'll move to public testimony. Any persons pre-signed up for testimony on Zoom wishing to testify, in person wishing to testify? Seeing none, we will move to conclude this remarkably productive and speedy meeting. Thank you to those who joined us on Zoom or in person. This concludes our business for today. The meeting is adjourned. The time is now 10:20 a.m.